the stream. Retweet that for me. Thank you. Yeah, I had to take last night off. I had a whole bunch of crap going on. Thank you for being with us. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. So let's see. What's the news on Luka here? Let me try and get the scoop on this. Left ankle sprain, out for the remainder of this game against the Suns. X-rays negative. Whew. All right. We'll get through it. We'll all get through it together. I said he's the closest. Oh, I just saw it happen. Oh, God. I just watched it on full screen on my laptop. He stepped on somebody's foot and just rolled his ankle. I will tell you, I suffered when I just before my freshman year of high school. Ready for this, Austin? I'm going to give you a true story. This is a true Jason Page story. Before my junior year of high school, after 2 years of coming back after I had an open compound fracture of my right shin and a torn meniscus in my left knee. I got hit by a Mack truck when I was 13. Almost died. So after 2 years of rehabbing to get myself ready to play high school basketball, junior year of high school, they're having open workouts. It wasn't the tryouts for the team. It was like a week before where they had an open gym and people that were interested in trying out could go and just play pickup games in the gym and that sort of thing. I am running up and down the floor. It's my first full court workout since getting myself ready to try out for the high school team. I think I got a realistic shot to make it. I'm a decent player, good shooter. I'm running down the court on a break. Somebody hits me on the wing to shoot a three. I jump up and I land on somebody's foot and roll my ankle. Fractured my ankle. Wound up missing my junior year of high school for playing basketball. Just the worst. At that point, you're like, okay, the universe is sending me a message. I am not meant to play sports anymore. And that was it. That was the end of my chances to play high school basketball that year. But I tried. That's all you can do. So I know what it's like to step on somebody's foot playing basketball and roll your ankle, and it is just agonizing. Like if you catch it wrong, it is just the worst. So all the best to Luka, and hopefully. Yeah, it's funny, though. Dallas is leading at the half. I mean, so now you got no Luka for Dallas and no Devin Booker for Phoenix. Yay! A lot of sizzle in that game. My poor buddy Stan Van Gundy gets to call Maverick Suns with. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, that's rough. Spurs and Clippers late in the second quarter. Clippers lead that one 43-32. We'll keep tabs on what is going on there. In that Maverick Suns game right now at the half, it is Dallas minus 1.5. And the money line, actually, it just went down to a half a point now. 54-48, Mavericks lead the Suns. Dallas minus a half a point. Money line is minus 113, and the total is now 208.5 for that game. Spurs and Clippers, with the Clippers leading the Spurs 43-33. If you're looking for value and you've got a death wish with your money, the Spurs are plus 1,100. And they're plus 18.5 on the spread. That's a lot of points, man. Now 19.5 because it's 46-33. That is a boatload of points. 240.5 is the total there. Go back over to the NFL here for a moment, because we briefly talked about it with Jason Cole, but I want to give you the latest odds because it is bouncing all over the place right now when it comes to the Bengals and Chiefs, and it's all predicated on whatever you're hearing, because without having x-rays in hand, without having, a lie detector test put on, a physician or a physician's assistant with the Chiefs, you really don't know what the situation is right now with Patrick Mahomes. You don't know how serious the condition of this ankle is. They can say all the right things, and when they speak, much like the stock market, the lines move. So, Patrick Mahomes comes out yesterday and says, well, my ankle's fine, and it's feeling better than I thought. Not fine, but it's feeling better than I thought it would, and, we're full speed ahead for Sunday, and obviously he's going to play. When you start getting into those sorts of conversations, all of a sudden lines move. So a line that was, the Bengals minus 1.5 is now the Bengals plus 1.5. It's still essentially a pick'em game. But I got to tell you, I would run to my nearest legal bookmaking operation and take Cincinnati plus the 1.5 right now. So on the Bengals and Chiefs, as it stands right now, it's Cincinnati plus 1.5 at minus 112. It is the Bengals plus 100 on the money line, which probably is where I would put my money because I think the Bengals are going to win. And then the total right now is 48. For the 49ers and Eagles, I love the under in this game. It's 46.5 right now. I continue to feel really good. Everything about that Niners-Eagles game just screams under. Everything. I keep seeing 35 points being scored in this game. Maybe 37. You get 20-17. It's San Francisco plus 2.5 right now. They are plus 126 on the money line, and 46.5 is your total on that game. As for where the money is, 78% of the money, or 78% of the money on the spread is going to Philadelphia right now. I mean, that is a huge wad going Philadelphia's way. 72% of the bets on the game are going to Philadelphia. I'll tell you, I'm definitely going against the grain on this one. And then in the Cincinnati game, 78% of the money on the spread is going towards Cincinnati. And again, this is according to FanDuel Sportsbook. So make of that what you may. And then 74% of the bets on the game are going to Cincinnati. So nobody's buying this whole thing about Patrick Mahomes and the ankle, or they just think that Cincinnati isn't getting enough credit, which I think after what they did in Buffalo last week and what you watched Kansas City do in its matchup against Jacksonville, you'd have to feel like Cincinnati's in a position to win this game. I'm still certainly there. I absolutely love it. Any touchdown score, Jamar Chase right now is minus 105, Travis Kelce minus 105, Joe Mixon plus 100. I love that Jamar Chase minus 105. You know that dude's going to find the end zone. Oh, absolutely. Yep. So we'll wait and see what happens as we continue to go through the week. But the lines as of today, San Francisco plus 2.5 and Cincinnati right now at plus 1.5. I'm keeping tabs on it every day, though. So a lot of you may have noticed I was off yesterday, and I didn't write much about it, but I had to take the day off because my partner was traveling, and he was dealing with some travel issues, airlines and late flights and all that stuff. So I thought I might have to drive to Los Angeles and go pick him up, and it would have been a big headache with trying to do the show. So we took yesterday off, but everything's okay. I had a couple of people reach out to me on Twitter and say, "Is everything okay? Why were you off?" And Very simple. Just had to take a day off. Personal reasons. Had to take the day off. Everything's fine. We'll be with you tomorrow. And then next week is just, I think next week is one of the hardest weeks to do sports radio. Period, full stop. One of the hardest weeks to do sports radio. Because you've got 2 weeks till the Super Bowl. You've got this dead week next week where there's absolutely nothing to talk about in terms of the actual game. So we'll be talking about probably a lot of stuff going on in the coaching ranks, but nothing to do with the game pretty much. Unless you've got serious injuries and things like that to deal with. But it's going to be, next week's going to be a brutal week to do a show. Before we wrap up this segment and get to Kurt Heelan coming up in a few minutes, rest in peace, Billy Packer. Emmy Award-winning college basketball announcer with CBS for so long, 34 Final Fours for NBC and CBS, has passed away today at the age of 82. Part of the soundtrack of my sports life growing up included Billy Packer. So rest in peace, Billy Packer. We're back with Kurt Heelan of NBC Sports on the other side, talking NBA next. Why are they airing this ad? That's an old ad. Huh. I got to have a talk with somebody tomorrow. Because that's the wrong ad. That's one of the old ads from the December ad campaign. And we submitted a whole bunch of ads that are all updated. So I don't know why that ad is playing. Oh, I got to get Kurt Heelan on. bring in my man Kurt Heelan, talk some NBA. Get some thoughts with him on the association. Oh, my heart skipped a beat for... It might have skipped a few beats. I'm sure Mavericks fans did when they saw Luka go off to the locker room tonight with a ankle sprain. Looks like X-rays are negative and all's well that ends well, or what?
Yeah, I mean, my guess is that he will miss a little bit of time. You know how ankles are. I think all of us who have sprained their ankle, but we're just watching sports too, you don't know till the next morning. You don't really know, right? Like, how much does it swell up, even with treatment and stuff? Like, it's the next day when you get out of bed and you're like, oh, then you're like, you have a sense of it. So I wouldn't be shocked if he misses a week or two. Like, it wouldn't be a surprise. That was a pretty nasty roll, but we'll find out. There's no chance he's coming back tonight, though. The problem is Dallas can't go without him very long.
No, I was just saying. I mean, if there is a team that can ill afford to lose their superstar, is there one that can ill afford it less than Dallas?
No, although honestly, he has looked a little. I mean, they've struggled a little lately. He has looked. He looks worn down. I don't think that's unreasonable considering the ridiculous load he's had to carry. This might be a case where the forced week off or whatever it ends up being just lets the rest of the body catch up a little bit, which is probably a good thing. And you get that in the All-Star break, and he's better, good to go for the rest of the season. So it's a blessing in disguise, but that's going to be a rough week. And the inefficient Spencer Dinwiddie show will be in full force in Dallas.
Yes, it will. So I was fully engrossed because I'm cheap. So I didn't buy the NBA package this year, so I have not gotten to watch much Knicks basketball this year outside of when they're on national TV. Although NBA is running this thing for $49.99 for the rest of the season. I may have to go and jump on that. All that being said, you got to be impressed with the Knicks, who really crumbled down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Boston winds up getting the game to overtime. Knicks make a block. Jericho Sims makes a block late in regulation to help get it to overtime. Then the Knicks are down 115-110 in overtime. Outscore the Celtics 10-2 over the final couple of minutes of the OT and get the win. That's an impressive road win for New York.
It is. They are. Boston's stumbling a little lately, and they might be one of those teams. I think they're a little bored with the regular season. And that said, that's a good, gritty win, and it's the kind of win that they didn't get last year. It's what Jalen Brunson brings to them is just a little bit of that fight, a little bit of that.
It's the kind of win they haven't been getting this year. This team's lost so many close games down the stretch.
Yeah, true. This is like I said, this is just a quality win for a team that, by the way, where they are in the standings, like they need every win they can get, and getting the unexpected win over Boston is a big plus. So, yeah, you know what? They've been playing better of late anyway. Their defense has come around a little. Julius Randle's been on a roll. So when he and Brunson get snubbed for the All-Star game, Knicks fans can be up in arms. But they've been playing a lot better. I mean, a lot better, but better lately, and looking more like a playoff team than they did for stretches early on.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, that's a tough win, too, on the road without Mitchell Robinson, because they miss him in the middle. In a game like that, they miss him in the middle. And you know what? Also credit this. There was more time given to those bench guys than we've seen. Tibbs given, Toppin got 16 minutes quickly, 28. McBride, 13. Hartenstein got 17. I mean, they leaned on those guys early fourth quarter to about mid-fourth quarter, and those guys produced.
I think they need to do a little more of that too. Like Hartenstein's a good player and quickly can give you something. Like, these are guys who aren't bad NBA players, but how Tibbs likes his rotations very, playoff tight for 82 games. But I think you're going to need to lean into them a little bit, and they've done a decent job of building. Look, this team doesn't have. I mean, they paid for Brunson, but they don't have Barrett and Randall are not superstars. They have nice players, but they have pretty good depth. And if you have that gives you some versatility in matchups and stuff. Sometimes I fear they don't take as much advantage of as they could.
How do you trade Cam Reddish? if he's not playing, or a Fournier and these guys. I mean, what the hell do you do? What are they doing with these guys?
You don't get much back. I think you get like a rack of shoot around basketballs and some Takis, like for Reddish at this point. Like I don't think you get. I think at this point you're just kind of moving on and dumping salary and trying to either save a little money or see if you can get a second round pick back that you can use, maybe down the line. So at this point, especially with Reddish, there's teams that the Lakers, a few other teams that are willing to roll the dice on the wing and say, hey, maybe if we put him in our situation, it's just better for him. I don't know if the Lakers are still in after picking up Hachimura, but like there's teams that would. That's the kind of guy teams will roll the dice on if it's cheap. Full
disclosure, I was texting with you last night late in that Warriors-Grizzlies game, and Steph Curry got thrown out for tossing the mouthpiece, which, by the way, it's like the second or third time the guy's done it. And it's like, come on. I mean, really, at this point, that shtick is old. And for a guy like him who's, really respected around the league and does things the right way, I cannot get over the fact that in that spot, he got himself thrown out of a game.
He lost his head. Kerr kind of got on him after the game. Actually, did you see the best one was Jordan? He's waiting as the guys are walking down the tunnel, and Poole throws his mouth guard as a joke. He's got to, obviously in big moments, he's got to do better than that. I think it speaks to how much they were into that game, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, this is a genuine rivalry. They blew a possession, and that I don't know. Again, I don't know if Poole thought there was less time on the clock or just like, hey, I'm wide open. I'm going to take. It wasn't a great shot. It wasn't even a good shot. It was an ill-advised. Like they had time to reset. They just tipped it out. They had time to reset this a little bit, and Curry was mad. And I think that, like I said, I just think it speaks to where this rivalry is right now. Where that it may be the best rivalry going, or one of the best rivalries certainly going in the NBA. I just hope we get to see it in the postseason again, because that was a great series last time around, and this is a better Grizzlies team that makes it really intense this time.
Yeah, I think it could wind up being a conference semifinal, because I wouldn't be shocked if Memphis were a 1 seed and the Warriors eventually, get up into that 4 seed territory. It wouldn't shock me if we saw that as a potential matchup in a conference semifinals.
It'd be a fun second round series. It'd be a really fun second round series, and Denver would probably love it because they probably get the easier side of the bracket out of that, and they're like, yeah, you two beat each other up, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, it could be maybe New Orleans. Maybe New Orleans winds up that 3rd seed. Who knows?
Maybe they get healthy. Yeah.
Try to, that is very true. Try to put into perspective, and I know we've done this a few times this year in this year of scoring in the NBA. Which is certainly what the book on this NBA season will be called. Will be the season of scoring. Try to put Damian Lillard's 60-point performance, into perspective historically.
The thing is, that's 4 for him. The over 60. He was doing this before the scoring, skyrocketed this year. Look. You know who else has 4? Michael Jordan had 4 60-plus point games. Well, he's behind only 2 guys. Kobe had 6, and then there's Wilt Chamberlain who had 32, and he just warps everybody's fucking books. Like he doesn't. It's like I don't want to say you erase him, but his scoring numbers are just stupid. But I think it speaks to the longevity of his scoring, but also he just when he gets rolling, I don't know how much of this I went back and watched the game today. They start putting different guys on him. They're throwing different looks at him. And it's one of those nights where whatever you want to do. And I saw it that night on Jazz Twitter, and people were like, why didn't he try this? Why didn't he? It didn't matter what you did. This was one of those nights. Damian Lillard is just a red hot scoring machine when he gets rolling like this, because he can shoot the 3 deep. He can put the ball on the ground and get to the floor and get to the hole, pull up. He's just got everything in the bag.
And I'll say this too. People love to go gaga and romanticize the career of Allen Iverson as, one of the best smaller guys in the league. And I know Lillard, I guess has a couple of inches on him, but Lillard for his size, you want to talk about getting every ounce out of that size. He certainly has. I got 30 seconds. Go.
And by the way, been doing it since he was underrated coming into the league. He didn't go to Georgetown. He was at Weber State, man. Like he is. You are spot on. There's nobody who's gotten as much out of his body in his career as Lillard out there.
Yeah, and he hasn't burned out. AI burned out pretty quick, at the end. When it was gone, it was gone. Lillard's not showing any signs of yet. Kurt Heelan, NBA writer, pro basketball talk at NBCsports.com.
If they want to pay me too, that's fine.
Yeah, that too. He's got a great podcast as well. Always appreciate it, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right, we're coming back. More to do in this hour of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Thanks, Kurt. So for the podcast, I want the rant I did on the coaching stuff, and then the 2 interviews. That beverage went down way too easy. Thank you very much, Chad Erickson, for that introduction. We continue on this Thursday edition of the show, approaching midnight on the East Coast. By the way, Super Bowl Sunday is just a couple weeks away. Valentine's Day will be here before you know it. If you haven't gone to omahasteaks.com just yet and taken advantage of the amazing food on that website and the great deals they have going on right now, go and do it. omahasteaks.com. And at checkout, use my promo code CASHIN, CASHIN, and you get another $30 off your order. Steaks, chicken, desserts, the sides, the whole thing, the shebang, as we like to say. I just had, Austin, I had a brisket burger tonight. That's brisk, baby. I had a brisket burger tonight that you would have died for. Now you're going to tell me you're a vegetarian or something like that, right? Okay, I'm just making sure. Because if you had come back with you're a vegetarian, we may have never been able to have another conversation ever. Amazing though. I had a brisket burger with some cheese, with some cheddar cheese on it tonight. Amazing. You can get it all. omahasteaks.com. Use my promo code at checkout, cash in. Minimum order may be required, but don't worry. Once you start ordering, you won't stop. omahasteaks.com. Go and get some good eats. Don't serve up wings and nachos to the guys when they come over for Super Bowl Sunday. No. We'd be crazy. Go and give them the good stuff. omahasteaks.com. Go and check it out. So, I meant to get into this in the last hour, but the fans in Indianapolis are so anti-Jeff Saturday, they're actually signing a petition to get rid of him. They don't want him to become the full-time head coach. Deadspin claims they actually started the signature petition to get rid of Jeff Saturday. Sean Beckwith had the story over on Deadspin. Says, I'd like to say that we over here at Deadspin started the unofficial petition to prevent Jeff Saturday from becoming the next full-time head coach of the Colts. The backlash to Saturday getting the nod over many qualified candidates who have, get this, coached football before, was so large Twitter did the thing where they tried to make people feel bad for being upset. However, the anger is persisting and it's grown into an actual petition after Saturday made the cut. Jim Irsay wants to hire him. I mean, I think we all know that by now. But he went 1-7 as the interim head coach. He had a minus 87 point differential in those 8 games. So there have been officially more than 1,500 verified signatures on the petition, which only went live on Wednesday. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool. So hopefully more people sign it because Jeff Saturday doesn't deserve that job. He has not earned that job. You know, experience, unfortunately, kind of matters. You know, people do this thing. Everybody thinks they could do radio. Well, I've done a podcast for 30 minutes. I can host radio. It's a big difference between doing a 30-minute podcast and hosting a 3-hour radio show. Everybody thinks they can do it. You know how many guys I've run into at sports bars? Oh, man, I would love to do what you do. I bet you would, but you can't, so you don't. All the time I get it. Oh, I can do what you do. I can talk about sports. Can you do it for 45 minutes an hour? Because that's what I do. All the time. I run into these knuckleheads that think that, yeah, after a few drinks, of course, I think they can do what I do. Hey, let me come on and co-host with you. Not a chance, buddy. Not a chance. Yeah, and it's the same thing with being a head coach. Well, I played football. You know, it's like people, well, I played sports, so I could do sports talk. Nope, it's not that easy. And as Jeff Saturday found out, it's kind of hard to do the same when it comes to being a head coach. General Manager Chris Ballard said of the upcoming future coaching decisions in Indianapolis, ultimately, Mr. Irsay makes the final call. That's not very good. If Irsay is making the final call, then Jeff Saturday is going to be the next head coach of that team, and be damned the consequences. Like I said, it just makes a mockery of the Rooney Rule. They circumvented it by having Jeff Saturday come in as the interim coach, because it means they don't really have to go through the same, rigorous, I use in air quotes, process when it comes to interviewing minority coaching candidates. Shared in the Indy Star article was a Twitter survey regarding how fans felt about the possibility of Saturday getting the permanent coaching job, and the overwhelming response was, hate it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if Jim Irsay winds up coming to his senses, if public sentiment rattles him enough that we, get into a position where maybe he doesn't wind up putting him in as head coach. We'll have to wait and see. I didn't get to talk about it with Kurt Heelan in our conversation just a few minutes ago, but LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo were named the All-Star Game captains. And again, something different going on this year with the game in Salt Lake City, the 2023 NBA All-Star Game. LeBron, by the way, tied Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who he's about to pass as the league's all-time scoring leader for most All-Star Game appearances. He now has 19, and he will break that record for sure next year. He's now been a captain each of the 6 years the NBA has utilized the format of two captains drafting their individual teams. LeBron's averaging 29.9 points, so basically 30 points a game, 8.5 rebounds, 7 assists at the age of 38, which is just remarkable. I don't care what you think about scoring being up this year. LeBron doing that at age 38 is out of this world. The rest of the All-Stars look like this. Joining James in the Western Conference from the Pelicans, it's Zion Williamson, Nikola Jokic, Stephen Curry, and Luka Doncic. The other East starters alongside Antetokounmpo are Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, and Donovan Mitchell. The starters were selected by a weighted voting process, fan vote being 50%, player and media portions counting for 25% each. And they're going to do something different when it comes to the game this year. They're actually going to pick the teams. They're actually going to pick the teams on the night of the game, which is going to be kind of cool. 7 All-Star reserves from each conference voted on by the coaches in each conference will be announced next Thursday. And this year, the teams themselves will be decided by a draft that will take place live shortly before the start of the game, as opposed to a tape draft conducted in the weeks leading up to the game being played. So James and Antetokounmpo will be responsible for drafting those team captains. And I got to be honest, I think that's kind of cool to do it the day of the game, because you basically extend the broadcast of the game as a result. And yeah, guys aren't going to get to have, practices together the day of the game or anything like that, but who the hell cares? All these guys know each other. They all play with each other. They all practice with each other. They all work out with each other. I don't think there's any harm in sort of extending the broadcast of the game by adding this draft on the day of the game. I think it's kind of cool. So looking forward to that. We'll see what the coaches do on that front. Mavericks lead the Suns 76-69. That game is through 3 quarters. Dallas hanging tough with a lead there without Luka Doncic, who, if you just tuned into our show, sprained his ankle. X-rays were negative. But as Kurt Heelan and I talked about, you got to think he's going to miss some decent time, at least a week or two, with that ankle injury. So Luka will be out for an undetermined period of time. Mavericks winning without him on the road. Granted, the Suns do not have Devin Booker, but it's 76-69, Dallas on top there. And the Spurs trail the Clippers at the half. This game is only at the half? This game won't be over by the time we get off the air. That never happens. What time did they start? Anyway, Clippers lead the Spurs 78-57. That game is at the half. If you're looking for value and you're a tad bit psychotic, The Spurs plus 2,500 on the money line. That's the pick. Final hour of a Thursday edition of the Cash In is coming up in just a couple of minutes. Stick around for that. Much more to do on this Thursday. SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Stay with us. Yep. of a Thursday/Friday edition of the show. Thank you for being with us. Whether you're listening on one of our many SportsMap Radio affiliates, whether you are listening anywhere around the world on the SportsMap Radio app, or you're watching us on one of the many video platforms we're on right now, such as Twitch, twitch.tv, Jason Page 77, YouTube, the Decibel 88 channel, on Twitter, at the back page, or on my Facebook channel, The Jason Page. Speaking of The Jason Page, if you are not following me on TikTok, I know it's a lot to remember, go and get me on TikTok. The Jason Page is my name there. And we're putting up new content daily. We just put up a new video today on the hiring of Frank Reich in Carolina and basically the joke that has become the Rooney Rule, which we'll get into a little later on this hour with my friend Jason Cole. He is our 2-for-1 tonight. Jason Cole is in the catbird seat, so to speak. We'll talk with him about all things NFL coming up from Outkick.com. He does a great job with that outlet. Also a Hall of Fame selector. So he'll join us coming up about 29 minutes from now on the program, and we'll see what he makes of the Steve Wilks, well, not the Steve Wilks decision, but the Frank Reich decision, and what it means for Steve Wilks and what it means for the Rooney Rule. Because I'd like to see somebody stand up at the commissioner's State of the League conference that he has every year before the Super Bowl. The week of the Super Bowl, he does this press conference. I'd like to see somebody stand up and say, why is your Rooney Rule a joke? I mean, Steve Wilks will be, schlepping as a defensive coordinator somewhere for some white head coach probably somewhere in the league, and have to get back to the back of the line and interview for these jobs again that he has no chance of getting. Because blacks are judged in the NFL. There's just a different grading scale. The expectations are higher. The standards are higher. But you can be a Brandon Staley and bomb out in the first game of the postseason after coughing up a 27-0 lead. Keep your job. You can be Frank Reich and get fired in Indianapolis for doing a terrible job in your final season there. 2 of his 4 seasons were bad. And you just walk into a new head coaching job in Carolina. Boom. With a top pick for a quarterback. Boom. With a chance to get a really good frontline quarterback. Yeah, good luck with that. It's just not right. And we see it time and time again in this league. So I want to see what Jason thinks of that when we talk to him coming up about 27 minutes from now on the show. He is our 2-for-1. We talked with him in the first hour of the program. Kurt Heelan joined us last hour. If you missed anything from the show, go over to the Cash In podcast. It's available every night after the show ends, prepped daily by our crack staff of producers, engineers at SportsMap Radio. The Cash In podcast. Go and check it out after the show is done. If you don't get a chance to check out the whole program. So a few interesting stories today that sort of popped up. And you'll never hear me talk about soccer on this program outside of the World Cup, except when it comes to a guy named Ronaldo. So you might recall the story of Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia to play for Al Nassr. And they gave him, $1 zillion to go and play for that team. And, just this ridiculous, ludicrous, lucrative contract. And apparently it's not going so well for Ronaldo. Al Nassr, the move for him going there has gone from bad to worse already. Made his second start for the club against Al Ittihad in the semifinals of the Saudi Super Cup, having joined Al Nassr on a free transfer at the start of this month. However, he was unable to prevent his new side from crashing out in the tournament. They fell 3-1 to Riyadh. Fans are all over social media mocking Ronaldo for the lack of success that the team has had since he got there. One tweeted, Ronaldo influence, Al Nassr is being cooked by a mid-table club in Saudi Arabia. Another wrote, Ronaldo's holding Al Nassr back. They need a new striker. A third fan wrote, let's laugh at Ronaldo. Meanwhile, one more commented, Ronaldo has been awful. I'm not going to lie. The ridicule continued. Ronaldo is not even good enough for the Saudi Pro League, and he had the nerve to question Erik ten Hag for not starting him every game in the Premier League. Sold his soul and legacy for money. Finished player and fan base. Eesh. Now, look, it's very rare. Let's just say this for what it is. There are very few happy endings in sports. You watch what's going on with Tom Brady right now in Tampa Bay and whether or not he decides to play or not next year. And Jeff Darlington did a terrific piece. It's on his Twitter feed where he did a great video expose, video commentary about where we are in the career of Tom Brady right now. And I'm telling you, go and watch it. It's really a must watch. But you've got what's going on with Tom Brady. You see what's going on with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, with the Packers. There aren't a lot of happy endings. We were just talking last hour about Allen Iverson. I mean, Allen Iverson was the toast of Philadelphia for so long. Allen Iverson from 1996 to 2006, he was, or even 2007, he was Philadelphia 76ers basketball. I mean, he was really special to that city and to the league, and this undersized kid out of Georgetown. Everybody knows his backstory and the trouble he had when he was at Georgetown. And John Thompson sort of lifting him up and trying to fix his life. All of those things, and he had a few monster seasons, went to an NBA final, but at the end of the day, Allen Iverson, his last 4 years, he played for Philadelphia, Denver, Detroit, Memphis, Philadelphia, and then he went to Turkey. There's just not a lot of happy endings. Patrick Ewing, lifetime Nick, you would have thought. Almost got them over the finish line to an NBA title twice. He finished his career in Orlando, played in Seattle, and you bounce around for a couple of years at the end of your career. Most people don't know when to hang it up. Most people don't know when to walk away. As Jeff Darlington pointed out in this great piece that I watched today, which again I would highly recommend. Tom Brady hanging around for one more Super Bowl. How many do you need? It's not like you only won one and you're trying to differentiate yourself with a second. Like Aaron Rodgers, I think he understands that one Super Bowl, I mean, Eli Manning's got two. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that stuff sort of creeps into your mind. Oh, was I lucky and just got one? You're not going to be lucky and win two. But you can be lucky and be Trent Dilfer and win one. You can be lucky and be Brad Johnson and win one. There's a lot of guys that win one. Few win two. So guys hang around longer than they should. And a lot of times it is in pursuit of that one thing that they haven't accomplished during their career. And in the case of Ronaldo, what is he hanging around for? He's one of the greatest players of this generation. What? Because he didn't make enough money in the Premier League? He needed to go to Saudi Arabia and get his hands on some of that oil money? I mean, really? And for what? So, you could be thought of as Willie Mays dropping balls in center field at, Shea Stadium for the Mets or the Polo Grounds for the Mets. I mean, it just doesn't, to me, it defies logic. But again, unless you've been in that position, which very few people in all of mankind have actually been in, that position of greatness, that position at one time or another, being the very greatest that's ever played your particular sport. Unless you've been in that position, you can't imagine what it's like to be a Ronaldo, a Tom Brady, an Allen Iverson, a Aaron Rodgers. Guys that just don't necessarily know when to hang it up, when to stop playing. By the way, can I throw in one more thing here before we hit the break here? The minutes played for Iverson, I'm just looking at his stat sheet for his career from his first year in the league through 2007, 2008, right? Let's see if I can just do a quick select on this. Allen Iverson averaged 41.8 minutes a game. An NBA game is only 48 minutes. Allen Iverson averaged almost 42 minutes a game from the age of 21 to the age of 32. Is anybody even averaging 40 minutes a game anymore in the NBA? I'm going to look that up, and we'll check it out when I come back. I'd be shocked if there's anybody in the league averaging 40 minutes a game. We'll update you on the 2 late NBA games. I'll get to the bottom of this question, too. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Nope. Holy shnikes. Oh, not the playoffs, you dum-dum. Wow. Oh, I missed a layup. Oh, he banked it in. Bank is open. And again, not to be the old guy sitting on his, front porch going, when I was younger, but get ready for this. How much has the NBA changed in just the last 20 years? Ready for this one? Austin, you ready for this? Ready? 20 years ago, Allen Iverson led the NBA in minutes per game. He averaged 42.5 minutes per game that season. He played all 82 games. No taking a night off for rest. He played all 82 games and averaged 42.5 minutes a game, right? 11 guys that year in the NBA averaged more than 40 minutes a game, 2002, 2003. This year, by contrast, the most minutes per game is Pascal Siakam of Toronto, who averages 37.5 minutes a game, right next to Luka Doncic, who basically averages the same number of minutes a game. So there you go. These guys are playing, 5 minutes less per game. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but over the course of an 82-game season, it is. I mean, it's 400 minutes. It's like 10 games less when you start to stack it up. I mean, that's remarkable when you think about it. So that was the difference 20 years ago. Let's just go back 10 years. So I'm trying to see where the change took place. 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Luol Deng led the league in minutes at 38.7. So you've just seen it gradually coming down. God, these guys are it's amazing. LeBron averaged 37.9 minutes a game 10 years ago. And this year, LeBron averages, 36.1. So, I mean, in the last 10 years, he's playing what? 1 minute less a game? He's just a freak. The dude is just a freak. If you go back to, LeBron's first year would have been, try and find LeBron. LeBron's rookie year, he averaged 39.5 minutes a game. So, I mean, in his career, his average minutes per game has gone from, basically 39.5 minutes to 36.5 minutes. I mean, that's remarkable when you consider how long he's been playing to essentially, not miss a beat. To basically, being able to still play roughly the same number of minutes. We're not talking about going from 42 minutes a game down to, 36. We're talking 39 to 36. And I'll say even the same thing for Damian Lillard. As much as I say that, he doesn't get the kind of play that Iverson does, go and look at Lillard's minutes per game. For his career, he's averaging 36.3 minutes per game. It's not, it's not a huge number, 36.3 minutes per game, as opposed to Allen Iverson, who we just mentioned. So 36.2 minutes per game, and Iverson averaged for his career 41.1. So Iverson played 5 more minutes per game. And again, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start to look at a career of 914 games. Even if you just take, the first, if you take both of their careers and take the first, 10 or 11 years of their career and do the math on it. I mean, Iverson played over 5 minutes more per game. And when you look at the fact that it's 747 games, think about how many more minutes that is over the course of 747 games. It really does. When you start to think about it in those terms, you're like, wow. Now you see why Iverson, sort of flamed out after that age 31, age 32 season. And then you see the big drop-off, and he basically can't stay on a team from the age of 33 to 35, and then he's done. At basically 34, that last year with Philadelphia. And even in that last year, even when he was done, he was still playing 31 minutes a game. So it's amazing. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And again, if you want to hit me up on Twitter, go ahead and do it at the back page. It's not the kind of story that's going to get tons of pub and tons of ink, because Jesse Lemonnier had not played in the NFL recently. Played in 6 games with the Chargers in 2020 as an undrafted free agent out of Liberty University. And then he was released. In 2021, he had 15 tackles, 1.5 sacks in 7 games with the Lions. Then he signed with the Cardinals last year, but was released during training camp. He was drafted in the 5th round of the XFL draft last November, but decided he was going to play with the USFL this upcoming season. And then the news came today that the former defensive end died at the age of 25. And that announcement was made by the Lions earlier today. And no cause of death has been given, but given some of the things that have been written on social media, it seems that it may have been something in the mental health realm, we'll just say. I don't want to go too far beyond that because nothing's been made official. But again, this is a former NFL player, current professional football player who's dead at the age of 25. And again, doesn't impact your fantasy lineup, doesn't impact your futures betting, your pick'em games, doesn't impact any of that. So, you're not likely to give it a second thought, but just think about the fact that it's another person that played football for a living that's no longer here with us, and he was 25 years old. Not trying to be a Debbie Downer, just want to call out the fact that this has happened yet again. And, at the end of the day, as much as the NFL wants to talk about health and mental health and physical health and all the things they're doing to make the game safer, what do you do when 25-year-olds are dying after playing football essentially for their entire lives? Amazing. 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. We're nearing the conclusion. I did not give you guys a live bet tonight because there wasn't anything I liked. Just got to be honest. Mavericks lead the Suns 96-91, trying to win without Luka Doncic. Luka, if you missed it, late first quarter, early second quarter, rolled his ankle. X-rays are negative. No word how long he'll be out, but he was out for the rest of the game tonight. And credit to the Mavericks on the road in Phoenix. Granted, it's a Suns team playing without Devin Booker and whoever else they decided to sit, because that's what NBA teams do these days. Mavericks winning on the road right now, 96-91 with 56 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. The Clippers are handing it to the Spurs tonight. 104-81 Los Angeles at the end of the third quarter. I think the latest live betting on that was Spurs plus 23.5. I wouldn't touch it. Even if you gave me your money, I don't think I would touch it. Mavericks continue to lead the Suns now 39 seconds to go in that game. 96-93. Dallas is on top. Can I give you one interesting little prop bet thing here before we get to Jason Cole, who does a great job with Outkick.com on the NFL? He'll join us coming up in about 6 minutes. There is a prop bet available on FanDuel Sportsbook and probably whatever sportsbook you use about which game LeBron James will score his 38,388th regular season point, which will have him go past Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the all-time scoring list in NBA history. And right now, there's a whole bunch of different games listed up there. The shortest odds are Oklahoma City on February 7th, where he is listed at plus 130. The longest odds, January 31st against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, plus 20,000. Have to score a lot of points between now and then. All right, we're coming back on the other side, talking football with Jason Cole, Hall of Fame selector, NFL writer for Outkick.com. That's next on The Cash In. It's SportsMap Radio. Make sure to come back out of the break quick because got to make sure this time's out right. Good to have you with us tonight. If we're going to talk NFL, love to bring in this guy, Jason Cole, NFL writer at Outkick.com. Does a terrific job there. Has for many years. He's a Hall of Fame selector as well. The NFL does its Hall of Fame right, unlike baseball. Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer, my ass. Killing me. Let's bring in Jason Cole. On that note, yeah, I'm in a mood today. I really am. Scott Rowland is a Hall of Famer. I mean, stop. Let's just call it the Hall of Good Guys and good players and all. I'm done. There's not once in my life or anybody's life where they said Scott Rowland is a Hall of Famer. Yet there's some rationalization out there. And football gets it right. I mean, guys that belong in the Hall of Fame generally get into the Hall of Fame, and the guys that shouldn't be in don't get in. I mean, you guys get it right.
Yeah, I would argue that we almost put too many guys in football, and we don't make it exclusive enough. But baseball's just kind of bizarre in that, look, I think Rowland at the peak of his career was as close to Brooks Robinson as you can get. The problem is the peak of his career was so truncated by the fact that he was injured so often.
Yeah.
And look, I like Scott Rowland as a player. And if he had been healthy and had 12 Gold Gloves instead of 8, and that compares a little bit better with Brooks Robinson having 15, then I'm
Good to have you with us tonight. If we're going to talk NFL, love to bring in this guy, Jason Cole, NFL writer at Outkick.com. Does a terrific job there. Has for many years. He's a Hall of Fame selector as well. The NFL does its Hall of Fame right, unlike baseball. Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer, my ass. Killing me. Let's bring in Jason Cole. On that note, yeah, I'm in a mood today. I really am. Scott Rowland Scott Rowland as a Hall of Famer. I mean, stop. Let's just call it the Hall of Good Guys and good players and all. I'm done. There's not once in my life or anybody's life where they said Scott Rowland is a Hall of Famer. Yet there's some rationalization out there. And football gets it right. I mean, guys that belong in the Hall of Fame generally get into the Hall of Fame, and the guys that shouldn't be in don't get in. I mean, you guys get it right.
Yeah, I would argue that we almost put too many guys in football, and we don't make it exclusive enough. But baseball's just kind of bizarre in that, look, I think Rowland at the peak of his career was as close to Brooks Robinson as you can get. The problem is the peak of his career was so truncated by the fact that he was injured so often.
Yeah.
And look, I like Scott Rowland as a player. And if he had been healthy and had 12 Gold Gloves instead of 8, and that compares a little bit better with Brooks Robinson having 15, then I'm going, okay. But you're projecting the fact that, well, he should have been a Gold Glover another 4 times, right? It was only because he was injured.
Yeah, because then if you make that argument, Don Mattingly would have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't hurt his back.
Right, and Andrew Jones actually has a better argument for making the Hall of Fame than Scott Rowland, in my view.
Yeah.
Because he was a really dangerous hitter for a short period of time. The problem was Andrew Jones kind of frittered it away when he should have, played it out harder for, another 100 or 150 so home runs. Gotten to 500, and then it would have been a no-doubter along with his defense. But yeah, Scott Rowland, really nice player for a long time. Hall of very good. Yeah. And there are, and look, Todd Helton's got a better argument for the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God! How on God's green earth you put Rowland in, and Helton's sitting there with 35 points higher in terms of career batting average, and I know he played at Coors Field and all of that, but my God. It's just, I'm sorry. Anyway. Right. It is what it is. Let me talk football here before I run out of time in these truncated segments I have now. So I went off on this thing. There's no way that you can convince me that Steve Wilkes didn't deserve that job in Carolina. And his attorney's already kind of starting to hint towards, lawsuits and all this stuff. I mean, I don't know how the NFL fixes it. I just know that it's wrong. And I know something has to be fixed because Steve Wilkes is going to have to go back to the back of the line and be an assistant somewhere for some coach that'll wind up getting fired again. And I'm sorry, there's no end to this for this league.
Yeah, the justification, I understand the justification for hiring Frank Reich if your intention is you're going to bring in a quarterback and have Frank Reich train that quarterback. And you have this overall plan, but you better execute that plan, right? Like that's an absolute must. You're going to move up. You're going to get one of these top 3 or 4 guys. You're going to teach it. I get that.
But let me ask you something. Then why can't Wilkes be the head coach and Reich be the offensive coordinator?
Well, it could have been. The problem is that what happens with offensive coordinators is that they become head coaches right away in this league. And so you're dancing with the opportunity that you're going to lose him. That's A. B. You're now forcing Reich on Wilkes. It's the same thing as if you said right, we're gonna bring you in and we'll make Steve Wilkes the defensive coordinator, right? No, because now you just got two head coaches because you're forcing a marriage between the two of them. So I get why this happened. I just would look and go, look, if you're going to hire Reich, yes, you should keep Wilkes, but also say to Wilkes, the plan is going to be to get a quarterback, so you better hire a really good offensive coordinator and a really good quarterback coach, and we want to hear your plan for doing that to develop that quarterback.
Talking with Jason Cole, NFL writer, Outkick.com, joins us here on the program. But at this point, we have to acknowledge that the whole premise behind the Rooney Rule, I mean, it's done because Jeff Saturday, who could not have been worse in Indianapolis, is going to wind up becoming the head coach there come hell or high water. It seems like Jim Irsay is just convinced that has to happen. And again, Steve Wilkes will not be a head coach in the league next year, and Jeff Saturday will be. I mean, there's no getting around the fact that the whole premise of the Rooney Rule and the goal of the Rooney Rule to get more black head coaches to the top of the food chain, in these organizations, it's just not working.
No, it's not working because, your biggest problem is that teams don't do a really good job of developing coaches, assistant coaches to become head coaches. By developing, I mean everybody. They don't work on an individual basis. They're like, okay, well, let's see if this guy establishes himself. They also don't keep files to judge who's doing a really, really good job. So they don't keep an analysis of it. When they do have these open jobs, they don't interview a ton of people generally. They get tired of doing the process. They get tired of the pressure that gets on them. They get competitive about who they're going to bring in. And so they don't do their work. The other thing is the owners have made themselves in a lot of teams kind of off limits their own coaching staff and to other assistants around the league. So they don't really know who the best guys are. They go by what they're told by their general managers, who mostly go on the people that they knew from around the league, right? So it's a buddy system. And I do understand this. You want to work with people who you trust, right? That's a really important thing. And who you know if you decide, like if I'm a general manager, I want to know and trust the guy that I have as my head coach so that when I tell him this is what I believe we should be doing, we can have an open discussion about whether he believes it or not. And, we adjust from there, and we figure out what is our plan and we stick to it, right? So it's hard to create those relationships unless both sides have really worked at it. And this league doesn't really allow for that. It doesn't work very hard at it. And the owners don't work very hard at getting to know their assistant coaches. And if that doesn't happen, if you don't have established relationships, then you have a really hard time promoting, people that you don't know. And most of the white owners sadly don't know their coaches, period, but they especially don't know the black coaches.
And it's so what you're saying is it sounds like, the complete infrastructure of the chain from owner down through the assistant coaches all the way to the head coach is essentially broken around the league. Mm-hmm. And there's no impetus to change it. No, and it gets worse and worse all the time because the cycle of who gets to own clubs is generally, a guy like David Tepper is a great example. David Tepper has no real background in football. He was he's a money manager, private equity guy, right? Or whatever he did to make hundreds of billions, if not billions of dollars. He was very talented at that, right? Great businessman in that respect. That's still his main business, right? Or developing the sports, empire that he wants to develop in the Carolinas. That's his business. The day-to-day operations of a football team are not his business anymore. He hands that off to somebody else, and then he swoops in and kind of pretends to know what the process looks like.
And so he doesn't sit in on meetings. He doesn't watch guys. He doesn't really get to know who are the assistant coaches. He's got too much else going on. And the same thing is true in Miami with Stephen Ross. The same thing is true with the Glazer family. They have other things. Same thing is true with Dan Kroenke. The richer and richer these owners are, the more and more they made money doing something else.
Right.
And they buy these because basically teams have now become annuities from an economic standpoint.
Hold on, Jason. Hold that thought. Can I hold you over for like 3 minutes? I got to ask you one more question about these playoff games.
Sure,
hold
go
tight.
ahead.
We'll come back more with Jason Cole on the other side on the Cash In. It's SportsMap Radio. Yeah, I'm up against it with this continuing the conversation with Jason Cole. Does a terrific job. Outkick.com. Some thoughts with him on the NFL. Potential candidates for coaching. D'Amico Ryan. Continuing the conversation with Jason Cole, does a terrific job. Outkick.com. Some thoughts with him on the NFL. I got a lot on the coaching stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to talk about it in the next hour, so I don't want to get too deep into it now. But you get the sense that the real high-profile potential candidates for coaching jobs, the Sean Paytons of the world, D'Amico Ryans of the world, Dan Quinn, who was thought to be somebody that people weren't interested in. These guys are looking at the jobs available and going, yeah, you know what? I'm good. I'll stay where I am. Nobody wants if I'm D'Amico Ryans, I don't want the Texans job. If I'm, I don't want that job if I'm D'Amico Ryans. It's not
so much the team as it is choose who you want to work for.
Yeah, the team. When I say the team, I'm talking about the owner.
Yeah.
So
that's 100% it. Yeah.
That's the situation that, there's no, if Jim Harbaugh wanted the Denver Broncos job, he could have had it. And, basically looked at it and said, yeah, you know what? Tethered to Russell Wilson, not so sure I want this job. Sean Payton could have any choice of jobs that he wants, and he doesn't look like he's in a rush to go be a head coach anywhere. You just get the sense that a lot of these guys just don't want any of these jobs.
Well, look, there are plenty of people who want the job. David Shaw would take the Denver job in a heartbeat.
Of course he would.
Not sure that'd be I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not. But the quality guys who have a choice, especially a guy like Sean Payton who can make a bunch of money on TV, yeah, they're going to wait it out and say, let me see what's happening on another job with a better owner who'll pay me A, more money, or B, I won't be, as you say, tethered to a quarterback I'm not sure of. Yeah, if you're Sean Payton and you have Russell, the other part of Sean Payton, and this is the other dynamic, is he's got Russell Wilson kind of where he wants him right now, in that Russell Wilson is calling him and begging him to take the job, right? Which means that Russell has to acquiesce to what Sean says. If it's the other way around, you've got a real problem. And it makes it harder to coach that guy, which is what Nathaniel Hackett just found out. And because you're married to Russell Wilson if you take that job. So I think that Sean Payton, if he's going to take the Broncos job, has to have Russell Wilson basically begging and pleading and agreeing to everything that Sean Payton wants him to do to make him a better player and to be ready to do the things that he needs to do if Sean Payton's ever going to take that job at all.
Talking with Jason Cole, NFL writer, Outkick.com, joins us here on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. All right, let's talk about the games this weekend, which is the original reason I wanted to have you on in the first place. I like the 49ers and I like the Bengals. I'm curious to see what you think. Start with that San Francisco-Philadelphia matchup.
So you're projecting it's going to be the first pick against the last pick in the Super Bowl, which would be a great pick.
Yep.
That'd be a great one. I like that matchup. I will say I'm concerned for Brock Purdy going into this game that he's going to get overwhelmed physically by that interior line from Philadelphia. You got Fletcher Cox there. You got Brandon Graham, the kid from Georgia who's more of a run stopper. But they're big and they're heavy up front. So if they're going to win this game, they got to run the ball effectively so they can set up some play action and do those things to keep that pass rush at bay. So this is going to be incumbent on Kyle Shanahan and that offensive line both calling a really great game and executing a really great game in the run game. It's something they didn't do really well against Dallas. They missed a few plays in the first half that made it a little rougher game, and got Purdy overwhelmed a few times. So I'm concerned about that. I think Philly is really good. I know that San Francisco defense, as good as it is, has had problems with RPO teams this season. But I do expect that, I still expect them to give Jalen Hurts all he can handle. So I like this matchup. I think it ends up being kind of another low-scoring game, probably in the low 20s, a little higher than the Dallas 49ers game. but it's not. I would be surprised if this game's played in the 30s.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, and I said this last week about San Francisco when they played Dallas, that Dallas basically needed, had a one-outer, and it was Brock Purdy plays the worst game of his life, and Dak Prescott plays the best game of his life. That was basically the one-outer. That was their one shot. San Francisco had a lot of different paths to win. They can win ugly. They can go and score 36, as we've seen, but they can also win ugly. So all of the things you're talking about could happen, and San Francisco could still win because that defense is that good.
Yeah, but I was just saying the Philly defense is really good too. So, this, I think that I think the one thing that the 49ers can say with confidence is they can probably throw the ball better than Philly, but it's close.
Yeah.
Right now, that pass rush from Philly is just as good as anything that the 49ers throw out there, especially it's all based on their front four base. So it's a really good group. The one other thing about the 49ers is their defense tends to give up one or two big plays per game where you just kind of go, where'd that come from? And even against Dallas, they had a 44-yarder against them on a deep throw to CeeDee Lamb. So, he didn't score, but it did change field position significantly, and they've had a lot of those over the second half of the season. So San Francisco's just got to be on top of their game. But I tend to believe that San Francisco can pull this game out. But I do see where, Brock Purdy's a small guy. He's 5'11", he's 200 pounds. Against a big defense, if they can get in his face, if they can crush the pocket, it's going to be a tough game for him.
All right. Got about 3 minutes here. Cincinnati and, the Bengals. I know Cincinnati and going into Kansas City, a Mahomes with the high ankle sprain. Give me your thoughts. I think Cincinnati wins, and I think the high ankle sprain and his mobility is going to be a big factor.
Yeah, because they're really great on defense. I mean, Cincinnati is. People are still sleeping on how good they are defensively. I mean, they shut down Buffalo. I mean, that was as ugly a game as Buffalo has played all season long on offense. I mean, it was truly, truly a pitiful effort. And they've got weapons, right? They've got serious weapons. Starting with a dynamic quarterback. And he was made to look like he was still in year 2 Josh Allen. He wasn't, year 5 Josh Allen. He was year 2 Josh Allen. That was bad. So I give Cincinnati a lot of credit for how well they play under, Anarumo and his adjustments at halftime. I was sitting there, we were watching the first half, and I said, they better score 14 or 17 here in the first half, or they're not going to score anything in the second half. And they only got 10, and it was exactly that. They didn't get anything going in the second half. So, Kansas City's going to have a rough time, especially if Mahomes can't move around and create opportunities for big plays and get Kelsey, be able to maneuver Kelsey around and give him more time to develop his routes, especially downfield. If that doesn't happen, they're stuck. And so, I give Cincinnati a lot of edge. Plus, Cincinnati beat them last year. I think that they believe that they can beat them. And the last part of this is, and maybe this doesn't happen this time, the Chiefs, know from having lost to the Bengals last year, but the Chiefs tend to let up. And they, it's like I always say, they play with their food too much. And you got to finish people in these kinds of games. And that assumes that they even can finish somebody in this game. But that's just the nature of how they play.
Jason Cole, NFL writer, Outkick.com. So your official pick is?
Well, I believe what you said. I'm going to go Cincinnati because I love the story. Cincinnati against San Francisco, playing again in the Super Bowl, right?
Third time.
They did in the third time. And I love first overall pick versus last overall pick. I love Brock Purdy going back to Arizona. I like everything about that storyline. So I'm cheering for the storyline. That said, look, I'm a big Andy Reid guy. I love that dude, and so I'd love to see Andy get another title. I just think the ankle injury is going to make it really tough.
Yeah, I agree with you. Jason Cole, always appreciate the time, my friend. Have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you next week.
Anytime. Be good. Thanks.
Jason Cole. And much appreciated for him joining us tonight. Our 2 for 1 on the cash in all over the NFL. We got one more day to preview it all tomorrow. Paige's picks on the show. I'm looking forward to that. By the way, Mavericks hang on, beat the Suns late in Phoenix without Luka. I'll catch you back here tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific for a Friday edition of the Cash In. Nice job, Austin. We'll see you next time on SportsMap Radio. Bye. Wee. So you're good for the podcast, my man? All right. Nice job as always. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. All righty. That does it on the video side as well. I am done. We'll catch you back here on Friday night. If you're not following me on TikTok already, go and do it. New content going up there all the time, and we'll be doing live content on there soon as well. Everybody have a great night. I'll catch you back here on Friday night. Thanks for watching.